This is where sports meets culture, confidence, and the conversation. Welcome to the Sports Girlie Podcast, the space where we break down the game beyond the scoreboard. Hosted by sports media multi-hyphenate Jeanae Robinson. That's me. And this is where athletes, creators, professionals, and fans come to talk identity, ambition, and what it really means to own your game. From the Caribbean to the world, this is the Sports Girlie Podcast. We've talked football, we've talked track and field, but today we are going to be hitting the hardwood. Sports Girlie Podcast is all about evolving in the world of sports, and today I'm joined by assistant coach of basketball Jamaica, Coach Stumbo, where we will be talking about what it really takes to make or build a basketball nation. It's from grassroots to global competition, and let's get into it. Welcome, Coach Stumbo. We've had this conversation for weeks now, months, I should say, trying to catch up and talk a little bit about basketball. But just introduce yourself and tell the viewers a little bit about you.
All right, so I'm Coach Stumbo. My name is Nyron Hurd, popularly known as Coach Stumbo. I coach at the Camperdown High School, Caribbean Maritime University, and other aspects. Also, I coach at the Urban Nights, and of course, work with national programs. A little bit about me. I've been coaching for a while. Of course, a youngster, still learning, open to learning. And of course, I've gotten a lot of opportunity, to work with national programs is definitely a big deal. And Jamaica loves basketball, and, basketball is just a major passion for me. And I use this as a tool to help youngsters to be affect society positively. Big up to basketball.
Well, I'm happy that you said that because you mentioned two things a while ago. You being young in the sport, as well as just the versatility. You working with the youth, working with the senior team. And I am a big advocate for being young in the sport, bringing basketball to Jamaica. It's something that I've watched for a while. Everybody watches the NBA and interested in whether they support the Lakers or Toronto Raptors or whoever it is, right? But for Jamaica to have their stamp is a big deal. So I'm going to get into the questions, and I'm going to hit you with a hard one at first, but as the conversation goes along, we'll get into it. So, Coach, if someone lands in Jamaica tomorrow and they ask you, is basketball alive here on the land of wood and water, what would be your answer?
I would say basketball is alive and well. It's alive and well. Most recently, we had the finals just played of the ISA under 19 competition and under 16 competition. Congratulations to Champion
College.
Yeah. And that's also a program that when I was introduced to basketball and started coaching, that program was not where it is now. Let's say that. It was a struggling program. Coach Martel, thanks to him, he has done really well with that program. And now champions, they are back-to-back champions, which is a feat that's not so common,
Yeah.
Currently, we have the female competition ongoing. Of course, we're on a holiday now, holiday weekend, so it's on break Monday. It will restart. I have a match Monday, and I have training Monday. So managing time is critical and crucial for us, the local coaches, which have the opportunity to work with the senior program.
What do you think is one of the biggest misconceptions about basketball locally? Because you mentioned the men's side and the growth it has youth as it relates to youth development, but I hear you talk about the females as well. So what is the biggest misconception about basketball in Jamaica?
Well, I think there's a lot of misconception. I don't think the world recognized that Jamaicans play basketball until most recently when this national senior team doing as well as they are doing, that brought a lot of eyes on Jamaica when it comes to basketball. But I think growth process on the local side, we need to do a little better. Everything works better when you have money, and basketball just don't.
Yeah.
And while I mentioned money, let me say The Bob Marley Foundation, the Return Bob Marley Foundation have been doing extremely well. They are
Yes, they
actually
have.
in propelling basketball to where it is now. And I just want to say a big thank you to them. I'm wearing one of Bob's shirts. you know,
You have to
Definitely
rep,
support the movement. Yes, support the movement because it's the movement that has brought all eyes on basketball. And it's a movement that have brought this professional senior group together. And they are definitely looking at how they can build basketball in terms of the youth development, grassroots basketball, which it's needed. It's words can't say how much we need to develop grassroots basketball.
And I'm glad that you said that because it seemed as if Bob liked football, he liked track, he liked basketball. He just loved sports on a whole. So it's really nice to hear that. But we later in the conversation we'll get into the state of Jamaica's basketball. But for right now, I want to talk a little bit about you and your coaching philosophy. Because we can speak on ends about the climate of basketball in Jamaica. But how would you describe your coaching identity in one sentence? And do you think that we'll be able to see that, especially through our senior boys or being displayed through our senior boys?
All right, so I don't think one sentence would do me good. What? Let me try to explain this as short as possible. So I am more from the community, Garrison's community, and I believe that kids in Jamaica deserves a safe space. Everybody have their experiences that they go through in life and with life, and because of my experiences, I try to bring a safe space to kids for them to develop. And I use the opportunity
Yeah.
of basketball to do so. And
Yeah.
this was one of the reasons why I actually went into coaching. It was me leaving high school, not necessarily moving on to college. One could say I went to the street college.
Which
and
side of the street though?
but the good side, the right side. So so we were around some friends, and this youngster, Mr. Bradley Leckie, his son Doran Leckie was a lover of basketball, and he influenced me and some other friends to, try the basketball. But basketball was a sport that
Nice.
was something that I would watch from time to time because, back in the day, CVM would show basketball, which is also a downside. We don't have basketball unless a child, the family can afford cable.
Yes.
That's the only way you get to see basketball, and it's a downside because basketball used to be showed on CVM and TVJ, which no longer happens. And that's something that influenced the youngsters to go to it. But basically for me, fell in love with basketball. Yeah, and from there we decided to start our own team. Someone had to be the coach. This was how I now went to coach it, and some luckily, Mr. Leckie, a businessman in my community of Arlington Town, he was doing some business runs, and I was just there. And he was like, accompany me. I accompanied him, went over to by Vauxhall High School. Vauxhall wanted to do basketball, but they didn't have a coach. Yeah. And Mr. Leckie was like, well, just the coaching certification Thursday, and this was like Monday. And I decided that, okay, I'm going to try this thing. At the time, Vauxhall was, a tough school to deal with. These are all Garrison's kids. And what struck me as a coach was when I saw the needs of these youngsters and how basketball impacted them. It brought me to a humbling position. And, I just took it up on myself and said, I have to figure out a way to help these youngsters. And through basketball, it gave me the opportunity. And I myself grew. I am the being that I am because of the experiences that I have through working with youths. And it's pretty much that. And somehow I'm here with the National Senior Program and still working, not necessarily so much with the youths. They are youngsters, but
big guy.
yes, it's a big ball game,
Yeah.
Thanks be to God, here I am.
Well, it's not by chance. I know that for sure, Coach. That little seed was planted, and now I think it's manifesting itself. But for you as a coach, what do you think separates, and this is for the basketballers watching us, what do you think separates a talented player from a winning player? Because that's something that I think sometimes, especially as viewers when we're watching it, when you see a team of basketballers, sometimes you think all of them on the same level, unless you're shooting and scoring and stuff like that. So what do you think separates a talented one from a winning player?
This one is easy. This speaks to competitive nature. So you'd have somebody who is extremely talented, very skilled,
Yeah.
but is not competitive enough to put in the extra work. You see, that person that is competitive, who believes and knows that they should be number one, they should be getting all the trophies, that person will put in the work. When no one is watching, that's where true growth happens. And without the competitive nature, that's what separates any player, the competitiveness.
Yeah.
You know, being on time, being there before, leaving the gym late, getting the extra work done, not waiting on coach to do the coaching because you will do some coaching on yourself. As a matter of fact, we see it in schools where when you're in basic school, the teacher really has to do a lot of teaching. Primary school, when you go to primary school, the teacher still has to do a lot of teaching. But when you get to high school, there's researching, and in
A little
college,
bit more independency.
yeah, and in college, it's pretty much all about researching. And the fact, it's a known fact, well, from my experience, I take it as a fact that when you learn something on your own, you doesn't lose it, So doing the
Um,
extra work will be you learning on your own. And that is something that will stay with you forever. And that's the real work that separates you. So one has to just be competitive from my standpoint.
you mentioned that word learn, right? And you'd have had experience as a player, now as a coach. But what is one thing that you had to unlearn as a coach?
Had to unlearn. Oh, I don't know if I can say this is something that I have to unlearn, but as a man, one has to learn to control. Yeah. Um, I don't know if I'm answering your question correctly, but I'm going to say controlling oneself, because I'm
Yeah.
very aggressive person. I'm nice, I'm fun, but when I come to the coaching or playing, I'm extremely aggressive because
Work.
and I'm focused, I'm locked in. So if we are friends, you can't just come and have a chat with me when I'm coaching. No,
Yeah.
not the time. You know, don't even try to run jokes. I'm very serious. You
Yeah.
know, so the one thing that I think, I'll put it this way, the one thing I think I had to learn as a coach was self-control. And through coaching, working with youths, I had to control myself. The coach that I was when I was coaching at Vauxhall, I am not that coach today. The methods that I would
Yeah.
have been using back then, those methods are not necessarily methods that I'm using today because of self-control.
I'm glad that you brought up self-control because now you're dealing with elite athletes, athletes that have experience all over the world. And one thing that is, what you call it, unanimous amongst them is ego. How do you manage the ego of these players who they're used to, especially a higher standard internationally than we have locally?
All right. Well, I must say that the standard that thanks to the Return Bob Marley Foundation again, rainforests, all the persons that make this possible, all the outsiders, donors, everybody, the
Yeah.
standard is pretty much the same, and thanks be to God for that. We can keep the standard. In terms of managing egos, it's pretty much managing personalities. And it is really easy with this group. The group that we have, it's really easy, and they make it easy. They're professionals, So the ego is really, it's not there.
Almost like a non-issue.
Yeah, it's not an issue.
Yeah.
Everybody's just here working hard, and you could say that this group is, you could call them the historians, because every game marks history
I
for this,
agreed.
and they are just here willing to state a claim that Jamaicans are good at basketball?
Now we're gonna jump into the state of basketball in Jamaica. We spoke a little bit about the involvement of the Bob Marley Foundation and people who have been helping this become a success, just it being more marketable, I should say. But if funding wasn't an issue for basketball in Jamaica, right, what would you fix first?
The funding wasn't that easy. So you have to take away pretty much all the problem when you say that. What would I fix first? So, all right. So everything is dependent on coaches. Yeah.
Mhm.
So coaches, officials. It kind of still all go back to funding, but in a different manner. I know maybe I just never thought about this question any at all. If
Get a
we
little
had the
time to
money
think
to do
about it.
because most of the issues that we really have, money is, a part of it, you know, major
Yeah.
problems, youth program and stuff like that. But yeah, this getting better is dependent on coaches. One of the things that keeps coaches in the career of coaching is, of course, again, the dollars and cents. When one can sacrifice one's time to do extracurricular for the sake of extracurricular, coaching is a lifetime thing. Once you coach a child, you're attached to this child for life.
Almost
So
like a parent.
yeah. So a coach really have to give of themselves. It's a very selfless job. And one needs something in return,
Yeah.
based on time and value and stuff like that. And it's just pretty much not there as yet. I think we'll be able to get there once these teams continue to be successful. Persons will come into play because infrastructure is a major downside currently for basketball, and that goes back to money again.
Yeah.
Need infrastructural development. We need to be teaching our kids how to dive for a ball. I can't do that at Camperdown and that hard concrete.
No, for
you
real,
know,
because I can
both for-
imagine.
yeah. So there are aspects of the game that just can't be taught really because of what we're working with. So again, while we're trying to avoid speaking about the financial aspect of things, it kind of is dependent on the financial aspect of things. We need way more coaches seminar, referee officials seminars to make sure we're at the highest of level, so we can get our kids to where they need to be. And yeah, that's pretty much what is needed, in my opinion. Infrastructural development and the development of all the persons working in and around basketball itself.
And we look at the landscape of Jamaica right now, there's a lot of attention on our national basketball team. We have two matches coming up on the 26th and the 1st of March. So it's very exciting. Well, at least for me, I've always wanted to experience a live basketball match. I think I did when I was a little kid, but as a young
Yeah.
adult, I'd love to. So that's a pleasure for me. But what can Jamaica learn from countries like Serbia, or even the United States when it comes on to basketball culture? Because I think we have a solid track and field culture. We have a solid football culture. As it relates to basketball, I think this is something that is becoming a little bit more almost like we have to kind of work our way into the people to make them believe in what we're doing.
I do agree. Jamaica really loves football. Jamaicans really love football. Whether we're doing well or not, we just
Trust
love
me.
football. Track and field the same, and I think majorly because we're really successful in
Yeah.
track. We're a very successful nation. Basketball has always been a love sport, but it's like a third string love. Yeah, of course, Jamaicans love their netball, you know, but
And cricket?
basketball is right here also with all
Yeah.
these sports. If as we are seeing now, we're seeing from a lot of persons who pretty much did not know were lovers of basketball, maybe have been lovers of sport. We're now seeing that Jamaica loves basketball based on the support you're getting from fans and stuff like that. This game that will be played, both games that will be played here, the 26th of February and the 1st of March, will be, I do predict that the stadium will be a sold out stadium, the National
Me
Indoor
too.
Sports Center, because persons want to see basketball at this level. It's a first time thing. So there we go, history again. It's a first time we're having a
Yeah.
game on the island of this magnitude. Games are played on the island because, of course, you have the National League, you had the Pro League that was played here. You have from time to time where you have the Division One basketball overseas that is played here on the island. So Jamaica is not new to high level basketball, but it is new to this type of basketball, and international competition. We're used to this for football, netball, track and field, but here we are for basketball. And I think basketball lovers will come out, basketball lovers will support, and we'll also win over some new persons to basketball. So corporate Jamaica, please come on board, and thank you for the ones that are on board already.
I think it would be a great, great investment. Now we're going to switch our attention to player development, because I think the young basketballers out there would like to hear from somebody who is experienced in the field of what do you think it takes for them to leave the local stage and go to either the NCAA or the professional level. What are some of the things they need?
All right. So one thing that is popular in basketball, and sadly, it's something that a lot of us don't have control over, or size or growth. One would say you can't teach someone how to grow. Yeah. So players that are taller, bigger, tend to will have an advantage. And most time when a scout comes to Jamaica or maybe reach out to a coach for a player, it's normally a player that has size. Because once upon a time, you'd have persons maybe 6'7", being a center and really good. Now we have somebody that is 7'2", which is a guard, a wing player. Yeah, so 6'7".
Can't even imagine that.
Yeah. So so which Wemby at times he's pretty much like a point forward,
That's true.
With all that he's doing in the NBA. So basketball, one could say it's a sport of size. But if you're a shorter player, of course, you need to be able to really handle the ball, need to be able to read and react to things, and you have to be a good shooter of the ball. So there are just some fundamental things that one has to work on to see themselves get an opportunity. And then, of course, every coach loves a player who is positive and plays defense. The other side of the kind, gritty, but extremely positive no matter what. So self-control comes into play again for these players who want to go all the way. And then I think there's a little bit of luck, because exposing the local players it's not an easy task. Now we're having a lot of media groups following basketball. We're having independent media groups, and this is an outlet for basketball. Persons will maybe be able to see a player, highlighting the players. The coaches really have to pretty much try their best to see how they can highlight and expose their player. The internet is a strong source. Social media is a strong source. I don't think, or at least use social media correctly. You might.
I was just going to ask you that question. Do you think it hurts or helps our players?
It hurts our players. I think culture of Jamaica also hurts our players, because our kids are too exposed to what would say the wrong things. So they'll post about these things, and the coaches, of course, they know wrong from right. So if they see a certain type of post on a page, they will not want to work with the player just because of this post. But it's because of the culture of our country, how we don't protect our kids as much, which we need to do a better job at that. But definitely opportunities are there, and based on what is happening now with of course, the success of the senior team, a lot of persons will be looking to Jamaicans, which Jamaicans are just naturally talented, raw, athletic talent. And we have to just continue being that, being positive, being gritty, And where the opportunity presents itself, as long as you're prepared, you will have success.
Do you think as a nation that we are comfortable with mediocrity outside of track or football or cricket?
All right, Jamaicans, it is very strange how ambitious Jamaicans are, whether they put in the work or not. Jamaicans just believe that they are number one. Like, I'll give you this example. Jamaica, in my opinion, don't necessarily appreciate a Johan Blake because
Even though he's done so much.
he's the second fastest man in the world. And Jamaicans, in my opinion, don't appreciate him because he's not number one. You know, so that example sums it up. Once you're winning, Jamaicans is all for you. Yeah, but if you're even number two, so much into you. You know?
No, it's so true.
So that can be used on both sides of the coin, whether to say it's good or it's bad. But Jamaicans believe that they should be number one. Nobody's more than them. And I think that characteristics is what has been propelling Jamaicans island-wide in every form of success, because they believe that nobody is more than them.
I'm glad you brought that up, because now I think this will kind of be like a reunion, especially for the die-hearted basketball fans and past players. But do you think that former players of the sport should now be looking into taking up more leadership roles just to help build the sport?
I do believe that it's on everybody, especially if you went through the process. So if you went through the process, it only makes sense to give back. Yeah, the NBA, for example, it's the biggest league in the world. It's marketed that way, and you have something that is called the NBA Cares, which does a lot of youth development, a lot of grassroots stuff. These athletes who are at the highest level, they do a lot of camps in their country and stuff like that. We need the same thing to be done here. We need everybody to give back. Whether your story was an unsuccessful story or it was a successful story, there is something to be learned from you. But everybody has to work together, invest their time in making the next generation the better generation, so to speak.
I'm so happy that you said that, because I'm right there with you. But as we wrap up, I'm gonna play a little game called Rapid Fire, right? So Ricky, you don't have any time to think about these questions, right? I'm gonna ask you and then you can tell me the first thing that comes to your mind. So, first thing, who is the greatest basketball mind ever?
Greatest basketball mind ever, Rick Turner.
All right. Best advice a coach gave you?
Control myself.
Most underrated basketball skill?
Passing.
Tell me why.
So without passing, the ball don't move. And I think the players nowadays, because they're so skilled, refuse to pass. You know, so I think it's currently the most underrated skill.
Do you think that's a little bit of selfishness?
It could be, but for some of them, you'd be shocked to learn how much they can't pass because of that.
Interesting. Okay, now as the matches are coming up, what is one Jamaican player to watch?
Oh, this easy, as long as they're in the jersey.
All right, good one. One word to describe the future of Jamaican basketball.
One word. Wow. One word. This is the toughest one. I can't put a word on it. I think
is the word wow? Because that's what you said, you said wow.
It's definitely a wow. It's definitely a wow. Trying to find a word. Let's stay with that wow.
All right. And finish this sentence. Jamaican basketball will change when?
Go again with the sentence.
I want you to finish this sentence. Jamaican basketball will change when?
Well, it's already changing, but I'd say Jamaican basketball will change when we have more corporate investors.
Well, everybody out there hear Coach Stumbo, right? So I need a corporate investment, and I'm right there with you. And as we close, Coach, years from now, when they talk about the growth of Jamaican basketball, what do you hope your name is attached to?
Positivity. I just hope to impact positively. Once I'm doing that, it's all good for me.
And I seconded that. From the moment I met your coach, it was just like we knew each other for years. And
Yes.
funny backstory, viewers, how we met was the most unorthodox way of meeting each other. They were doing their basketball documentary, and I was minding my business. And I was just like, wait, this looks cool. And from then we just kicked it off. So for sure, I know that if that's what you want your legacy to be, you've already started it, coach, and continue to do a good work with both the youth and the elite players because it's needed. Basketball is now being seen in Jamaica and felt, right? And we really, really appreciate the work that you and your team have been doing. And I'm looking forward to seeing you next week, Thursday, and Sunday, right? So we play against Bahamas and Canada. So thank you so much for coming on the Sports Girlie Podcast. You know, this is where we talk all the nice things then, right?
Yeah, all the good things there. And appreciate you so much. Thanks for having me. I appreciate this.
All right, anytime, coach.
Pick up basketball. Yeah. Cool.
That was the Sports Girlie Podcast. If this conversation spoke to you, don't keep it to yourself. Share it, subscribe, and leave a review. Follow us on all platforms at The Sports Girlie for more conversations that go beyond the game. Until next time, stay confident, stay evolving, and always own your game.